on now, guys. Let's focus. That's enough now. Off with the music. We need to get as much studying as possible by this afternoon.
Chill, Zuki, give us a break.
You know, Memani, you guys should be very happy that I'm here to help you study for the test. Children's mathematical development concept is a tough topic. I have already prepared, and I'm only here to support you guys. Believe me.
We are very happy that you are here helping us, Zuki.
It's my pleasure, Tsepo. You know I'm always happy to share my knowledge. Knowledge of children's development is very important, not just for teaching methods. Their minds develop, just like their bodies do.
More like showing off your knowledge.
Is there anything that you're still struggling to understand, Tsepo?
Yes. I think we really worked hard on understanding what it means if a child has developed the concept of the cardinality of number. We even worked on the idea of what the mental number line is. Even how children learn to understand the decomposition of a number. But what I still struggle with, though, is the concept of the part-part-whole relationship of numbers. It's a quite tough concept. Tell me, how does it develop in the kid's mind?
And what about the relationality of numbers? Can you help with that too? How children understand that a number is in relation with another number. It's like a bond to it. What I keep on forgetting is that we are looking at children's concept, not operations such as subtraction, addition, and multiplication, and so on. We are trying to understand how these concepts develop.
Oh yes, of course I can help. We mostly think one teaches operations. We teach kids addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But we need to teach them the concept to understand what they do when they do operations. Maybe you should think of how babies always lie down. They can't even sit up. And when their brain and their body is ready, they learn to sit and then crawl. And then they learn to walk. This happens when they are ready, when they are developmentally ready. Then this happens step after the other. Just like the developmental concept, it's one after the other. Babies don't lie down all the months and then one day they decide to stand up and walk.
So you mean they go through different phases? They sit, crawl, and walk.
Yes, exactly. This is the same as the concept of part-whole or class inclusion. Children can't develop that concept if they have not developed the cardinality principle.
Guys, what did I miss?
Oh,
Guys, what did I miss?
Well, KG, we are busy discussing how children form mathematical concept. We have just discussed the part-whole relationship of a number. Now we are busy discussing the cardinality of a number when you walked in.
But Zuki, this thing of cardinality, guys.
KG, remember this means that a child understands each number weight or each numeral represents a specific quantity, such as a number 9 represents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 coins.
Each quantity can be broken up into different parts. Like this part here and this part here can be put together and made one quantity. Well, according to PIJ, the understanding of addition composition is a prerequisite for each child to understand class inclusion, like how the quantity is composed. Like when you decompose a quantity, you're taking it apart, like you making different parts, something like that. And when you compose is when you putting it together. So like we are 2, but we are part of all 6.
You know, I just saw Tiki across the way. I think I'm gonna go get her explain this. Tiki, can you kindly explain the part-whole relationship of numbers?
And the rationality of numbers and class inclusions.
Hey guys, is this for exams?
No, we are writing a semester test tomorrow. on children's mathematical conceptual development. And we've been trying to study, but hey, we are not getting anywhere.
We're doing just fine, thank you.
Okay, guys, how can I help?
Please tell us about the part whole relationship of numbers.
Is this the same as referring to it as class inclusion and embeddedness of numbers?
Yes, Memani. This is just two different ways of talking about the same thing. Parts and parts form a whole, or some numbers are embedded, almost hidden in other numbers. It is actually quite simple.
This is exactly what I was trying to tell you all before we were so rudely interrupted. Some theories like fusion say that the relationship between partial quantities and full quantities are equivalent to the sum. If you understand that, you understand the part whole, or what they used to call it, the bonds.
An understanding of the relationships between the partial quantities and the total quantity develops, in which the relationship between the partial quantities and the total quantity is determined. It is a fixed relationship. Zuki, can you just move over there? There's something that I want to demonstrate. Okay. With the part-whole idea, the relationships between the number triples are specified. In the triple 2, 5, and 7, for example, 7 is always the whole, 5 and 2 are always the parts. Together, 5 and 2 satisfy the equivalence constraint for the whole 7. The relationship among the numbers 2, 5, and 7 holds whether the problem is given as 7 minus 2 is equals to 5, or 7 minus 5 is equals to 2, or 2 plus 5 is equals to 7. Lauren Resnick refers to this as the fixed relationship between three quantities, and Nunes says it is a necessary relationship. If two of the quantities are known, then the third one can be deduced. With this capability, problems that require any of the three quantities become solvable.
And you'll be surprised how kids' maths improve once they get this idea. They need to be capable to see this. They need to understand the part whole.
Is it now relationality or part whole? You lost me.
It's both. Part whole is one relationship. There are also others, but we are not going there now.
Tiki, you're confusing my group.
Okay, yes, this is my group. I can stay here if I want to. I'm not gonna stay here. He said I must come to this crowd. No, we're done, okay? I'm gonna stay here because I want you to sort it out, please.
No, I think we better do something. Otherwise it will be bad.
Yeah, let me call Jerry. Hi Jerry, it's Norma here. Remember you said you'll be on campus today. If we need help, we can call you. Well, are you on campus?
Stay here because I want you to sort it out, please.
Oh, good. I'm happy she's here too. We are trying to study for our semester test, but Ntiki and Zuki are arguing and the rest of us are lost. Okay, thanks, Jerry. And please hurry. We need to get this stuff about number embeddedness and class inclusion done. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, don't worry. Listen, we'll come and we'll clarify things. Claire, I'm gonna need your help. It seems like Zuki and Ntiki are doing their tricks again.
These girls.
The self-study group needs some guidance.
Sure, Jerry, I'll help you. Are they preparing for the semester test?
Yes. Now they need to have a clear understanding of the different levels of young children's maths concept development. We've been through this before, but they seem to mix level 4 and 5. So we need to focus on the idea of young children's understanding of class inclusion and embeddedness. And it seems they also don't understand the idea of relations to number.
Maybe they also don't get the idea of a model. Shall we explain to them that a model is just a structured mind tool? It's a way that enables us to think systematically. Okay, I think you must remind me to mention this a little bit later. But I think I have a way to make things a little bit clearer for them. I have a copy of the Marco D test. You know it, don't you?
Yeah, that's the one with the 55 items,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Checkmate. Yeah, so now these items what they do is they test children's understanding on different levels of concept development. And what it does is it uses the model of 5 levels. Now, these items assess different levels of concept development. You okay with that? Okay, good. Now, I also have some video footage on my laptop. So what we do is we show them the item, then we show them the video footage so they can see how you can do it in practice, and then we do the theoretical discussion. So in this way, they can see that the theory and practice is related. Okay.
That sounds perfect. We can revise and consolidate their knowledge of the theoretical ideas of the first 3 levels. And they must understand that these levels are assigned to on the basis of 30 years of research. So we just go at it. Level 1, the first level is counting, second level, mental number line, third level, cardinality. And then we move on to the 2 new levels.
But Jerry, knowing Nsiki and Zuki, they are going to be at it. So I think that we really need to just move a little bit faster because you know how the 2 of them get. But I think while we're doing this, we need to quickly also think of a way that we can make this a little more visual for them. You know, just try and bring in that visual thing so that it can be consolidated a little bit more. Thank you, Jerry. Good game. Let's get going. This is my bad. Hey, it's not about him. Hello guys. Hi.
Claire and I decided to come show you some practical examples of the Marco D test.
Thank you, Mamani. How are you doing, guys?
Well, now the test is based on Anne-Marie Fritz and her colleagues' model of concept development. And that model is a representation of different levels of children's concept development. Now, we're interested in the first 5 levels. So that's more or less what kids from the end of grade R to the beginning of grade 1 know. Or should we rather say what kids age 5 to 7 know.
Wait, what test is this now? Should we know this for the semester test?
No, KG, calm down. We are just going to show you examples from a standardized test, and then we're going to discuss the different levels of development. Now, when we talk about a standardized test, it's just like the IQ test that you all know about. It's a test that's been practiced on thousands of children just to find out what works best. I mean, you can't just like walk into a classroom and expect to teach a child anything, can you? Like, you can't teach long division to a grade 1 class. Can you do that? No, of course you can't. You can't do that. Children don't just learn any new thing in maths like the difference between 38 and 15. They first have to learn, build, and understand many concepts before they can do that. Now we talk about the first 5 levels of concepts that children learn. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some examples of an item from a test. Now, an item is just like a question. It tests a specific concept in children's maths development. Okay? Now, after I've shown you that item, then I'm going to show you some video footage of a child that I assessed using this item. Now, after you've seen the footage, then we can discuss each level of the conceptual development that the different items test. But first, I want you to have a look at this, right? Just set up my laptop. My money, sorry. Please move again. Thank you. Nsiki, are you not supposed to be in class?
But I know the work already.
No, but Nsiki, you know how we feel about you missing class and things like that. Please, I think Jerry and I will cover things here.
Bye, Nsiki.
Thank you, Nsiki.
Wait for me, Nsiki.
Bye. Okay, guys, now I want you to have a look at this quickly. So we'll just quickly switch this one for me. Okay, now what's going to come up is a visual representation of the first 5 levels of concept development according to Anne-Marie Fritz's model. Now, if you look at it, this is every level that we've just been dealing with, right? So level 1 looks at counting number. Level 2 looks at ordinal number concept. Level 3, cardinal number concept. Number 4, part, whole concept. And then finally, level 5, relational number concept, right? Now, do you guys remember little Mia from the series class? Yes. Yeah, you should remember. Now, I did the Marco D test with her, okay? Now, you must remember that it's an interview assessment. I want you to see how Mia responded to 5 of the items that I tested her on. Right? There are 55 items altogether.
Watching this video will give you a chance to recap the first 3 levels, which you already know very well.
So, Jerry, when we are talking about levels, we are talking about Fritz's model of mathematical development, how one concept develops on another one.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I know it.
That's it. Well done, Norma. That's correct. And remember that it's based on ideas proposed by many theorists. Carey, Spelker, Gallister, Dahan. So Fritz and her colleagues developed this model from the literature on conceptual development. And then they designed the Marco D test. And then they tested the items on the Marco D test with thousands of kids to make sure that the test works. So they had to study many theorists. They didn't just make it up based on their own experience.
Oh yes, all those theorists we've been talking about. You know, I didn't know that so many people have researched like children's development.
Okay, now that we are all on the same page, okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the first item and also the first level, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to move very quickly through the first 3 levels, and then we'll spend more time on the last 2 levels, okay? Now, this is the Marco D test, right? Now this test is based on this model of mathematical development. So all of the items that appear in this test, all 55 items, is basically based on every single level of concept development that this model shows. But now I don't want you guys to get confused, okay? So I'm going to ask Sibu, just switch the screen off for me. Thank you. So now we're going to be focusing on the test that you know is now based on that model. Good. Now, the test uses the story of 2 little meerkats. And this is Jobo and Lona. Right? Now, these 2 characters form the background. Right? These 2 characters form the background for many of the questions or the items in this test. Now, remember that in testing, we don't call them questions. We call them items. So, the problems that the little meerkats face or come across is basically the problems that the little children will have to solve. Right? Yes, Mamani.
Oh, so the first level will assess the maths concept of number counting?
Yes. Very good, Mamani. Well done. Actually, right. So level 1 looks at the first level, and that's the child's ability to count. Level 2 tests the child's ability to recognize the order of numbers on the mental number line. You can also call it ordinality or the order of numbers, because the numbers are ordinal numbers, right? Level 3 tests the child's ability to recognize cardinal numbers and the ability for the child to decompose numbers or quantities, right? Level 4 tests the child's ability to recognize class inclusion and embeddedness of numbers. And finally, level 5 assesses a child's ability to see the relationality of numbers. That's how numbers have fixed relationships with other numbers. Okay? So let's start with an example of 2 items that test the ability on level 1. Now, these 2 items asks the child to count the character Jobo's stones. So item 8 says, please count Jobo's stones. Okay? Then item 9 says, now Lona didn't listen well. Please tell me count how many stones Jobo has. So I want you to see how Mia responded to this. Right, Mia? Now, these are 2 meerkats. Have you seen meerkats before? No. Okay. This is Jobo and Lona. And they live in the desert with their families. Jobo and Lona. And they like to play with each other and learn new things. You know what's really cool? They can already count. Okay? Can you see this is Jobo and Lona, and there they are in the desert. Jobo has collected stones as well. How many stones does Jobo have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thank you, Mia. Now, Lona didn't listen well. And she asks, how many stones does Jobo have?
6.
Thank you.
She did not struggle with this one.
Yeah. You see, Mia's already in grade 1. So in grade 1, children already have a firm basis for counting. In fact, children all over the world, in all cultures, know the word for counting. They learn those words, much like they learn any rhyme. It's only later that they learn what the word and the order really mean. See, children younger than 3 can actually track 3 objects. They can know that there are 3 objects there, but nothing more. It's only later that they realize what it actually means. Children younger than 3 can only track 3 objects.
It's the ability that they're born with, isn't it?
You are exactly right, KG. Yeah, that's exactly it. And in other cases, they just have to learn the rest. They have to learn everything else, and somebody will actually have to instruct them. But by the time kids get to grade R, most of them can count, and they can fit one word to an object, or one number to an object, rather. And in fact, what they do is they map the word into the number. Okay? It's a notion of one-to-one correspondence, even though they don't have a clue about cardinality. Most of them can count one object at a time, and they actually do it on their fingers.
Excuse me. So they count, but they don't know.
Yes, Tsepo, that's correct. You know, if you ask them to give you 4 pencils, they'll just take a handful, or maybe even 1, because they don't understand what 4 are yet. They don't understand how many are 4. Just because you can say the counting rhyme doesn't mean you understand quantity. You know how some parents are proud that their kids can count? It just means they know certain words in a specific order. It doesn't mean they understand magnitude or quantity.
I think let's just move on. Okay, let's just go to the next item in the test. Okay, so I want us now to look at an item that is on level 2. Okay, now it's very important that a child understands the meaning of the word after, because even though the child will know that 6 comes after 5, the child will still answer incorrectly because the meaning of the word isn't known. So this is how Mia answers when I ask her what number comes after 5. What number comes after 5?
6.
Thank you.
You see, it's about the ability to see the order. What comes before, what comes after a number. Now, here, different languages used by one child can be a problem. I mean, just think of the word after and before, or in front of and behind.
So what if they first learn those words in Sesotho as in Kapele and Kamorao who?
Or Pambeli Nasimov?
Or voor and achter.
It's difficult to teach kids maths in different languages. Now, our school kids are taught it in their home language, but when it comes to maths, it's only English, so they can cope with the terms.
Yes,
But now English,
makes
I told
sense.
you take it was English.
Okay. Let's get back to the test.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to be showing you 2 items on level 3. Now before I do that, I want to introduce you to another character in the story. And this is Benny. See? Benny. Right? Okay. Now the item says, Benny says, I put 3 nuts into the hole and my sister put 3 nuts into the hole. How many nuts are in the hole now? Now, before Mia can answer this question, she needs to know how much 3 is. Okay, before she can add 3 more. So she has to know the cardinality of 3. Now, the next item in this level is a little bit more advanced, and that one says, I had 5 eggs, my brother ate 3. How many eggs do I have now? Okay, so I want you to see how Mia answered this. Jobo and Lona also have another friend, and his name is Benny. See, so Jobo, Lona, and another friend, Benny. Benny says, I put 3 nuts in a hole, and my sister put 3 nuts more into the hole. How many nuts are in the hole now?
8.
Thank you. Benny asks, I had 5 eggs, and my brother ate 3. How many eggs do I have now?
2.
Very good, Mia. Thank you.
So you see how Mia had to know what the quantity 5 is first. She had to see it in her mind, and seeing it in her mind means using the concept. Then she also had to use her knowledge of the concept 3. Then she had to remove 3. That means she has to calculate, but she can only do that if she knows what 5 is and what 3 is. Only then can she calculate.
Yeah. Now we get into the discussion of concepts that you all are struggling with, okay? And this is on levels 4 and 5. Okay, okay. Sorry, Zuki. Not that you are all struggling with, but that most of you are struggling with, okay? Right. Now, this item asks the child to work with counters, okay? And the item says, Lona's mother asks, please bring me 5 berries. 3 of them must be red. So in other words, you are telling the child, please give me 5 counters. 3 of them must be red. Now, this is how Mia responded. Now, this is Joel and Lona's mother. And sometimes she needs help when she collects berries. So for this question, we're going to use some counters. So we've got some red counters. Okay. And we've got some blue counters. Now, we can also call the red counters red berries. See, like the berries on the tree. And we can call the blue counters
Blueberries.
blueberries. Very good. Now, Lona's mother says, please give me 5 berries. 3 of them must be red. Okay, thank you.
Now, remember that on this level, we want to find out if the child understands class inclusion and embeddedness. Or that's if they've developed the concept of numbers within numbers. So children would understand that in one quantity, there are other smaller quantities. So example, in 9, there's a smaller one of 6 and another smaller one of 3. Now this can be represented by that image. Do you mind displaying that slide of the part whole? So each of these combinations or parts still make up the whole number. So the child then gets to see that the part is part of or embedded in the whole number at the top.
But why different colors?
Oh, I know. This is just to show that a part can differ from the whole. An embedded part can be different from the whole as long as the quantity is the same. It's all about quantity, about embeddedness.
You guys all get that?
Yes. Now, with the examples from the Marco test, it makes more sense. And Jerry explains it very well. Yeah.
Good. Now, moving along, we're going to be looking at the concept of level 5 of the model. Now, this item says, please give me 8 berries. There must be 2 more blueberries than red berries. Okay, now just see how this happens. I'm going to put these back. Now, the next one says, please give me 8 berries. There must be 2 more blueberries than red berries. So you must give me 8 berries. There must be 2 more blueberries than red berries. Thank you, Mia. Jerry, do you want to explain this last level?
Sure.
Thank you.
Now, this last level shows the most advanced concept of natural numbers in this model. It shows how cardinality and ordinality relate. Cardinality and ordinality meet. Just think about that. So, the understanding of a set of numbers and your understanding of the order or succession of numbers combined. It can also be represented in that slide of a cardinal number that's 1 larger or 1 smaller.
Oh yeah, I have
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Let's display that one. Now, if you have a look here, just have a look here. 5 comes after 4 and it's also 1 more than 4. 6 comes after 5 and it's also 1 more than 5. 7 comes after 5 but it's 2 more. Now 7 also comes after 1 but it's a great deal more than 1. 1 comes before 3 and it's 2 less or smaller than 3. 3 comes before 5 and it's 2 smaller or less than 5. 4 comes before 7 and it's 3 smaller or less than 7. You see? Now, do you remember the words that you used in your home language for bigger and smaller?
Oh, enkulu nencane.
Oh, in Xhosa, encinci.
You see how language differs, and this greatly impacts the child's understanding of the concept. The child has to understand the word of relationality to understand the concept of relationality.
This makes so much sense. So, a number is understood in terms of its relationality to another.
Yes,
That's it.
You got it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Now, all we have to understand is Ziki's relationality to Zuki.
Okay, guys, if that's all, we're going to be on our way.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys after the spring break.
Yeah.
Good luck with your test.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah,
Well
I'm
done.
sure you guys will do well.
Most definitely, 100% for me.
Aye.
Yeah, Zuki, we know that.
Perfect. Hey guys, I wonder where is Chi today.
Ah, you know him. He's probably chilling in his dorm room and doing a summary of all the work in a rep.
Yep.
Yeah, and you'll see him singing to himself while writing a test and get 100%.
That's you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Show it up.
When you teach math, you don't teach operations. In fact, you're teaching concepts and onto common sense like this rap. I'll take you back to the point where we first began. Mastering your counting skills, low on level 1, man. And when that knowledge came fair, man, we took it to 2. Where the focus was the order of the number line, dude. And now that we through the first 2, we'll focus on 3. Remember decomposing numbers and their cardinality. You see, my strategy is simple because it helps your mind perceive that understanding class inclusion needs its prior knowledge be. Just like a little child when they learn to walk. They gotta first belly slide and crawl like mumbling before you talk, and that's the point. See, they gotta have the basics. Plan the simple steps, then they'll conquer big equations. Focus on the concept and not on the operation if you want to help them get the answer right with no frustration. In this case, the concept is parts and wholes, knowing that a simple group has different parts that make it whole, and that any number can be broken up to different sections, but when you add them up, you still get the same reflection. See that connection between numbers, the relationality. Lesser digits live inside the same total like family. Little numbers live inside the sum, but only when you add them up, you get the same total with which you begun.